I'm Sonia, a personal brand and style coach. My journey began in the corporate world and through lived experiences has led me where I am today. I've walked in those uncomfortable shoes, faced the same challenges and questioned my path to professional success while simultaneously navigating my personal style journey and the challenges that each decade brings. I wholeheartedly believe in the fusion of personal brand and style strategy. My mission here is to provide you with practical, actionable strategies and lived experiences to help you unlock your next level of success through the power of personal brand and style. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Style and Strategy podcast. Today, I'm diving into a bit of a topic that I know I hear time and time again from many clients. And it's really on that area of when you're getting dressed, trying to feel like you're not trying too hard, really. And for those of us kind of over the 40 mark or over the 35 mark, you're kind of looking back and thinking, wow, can I get away with wearing that? Or maybe I can't. And I hear it a lot. Sometimes they might say things like, oh, please, I don't know what to do and I don't want to be seen as mutton dressed up as lamb, to use a colloquialism around it. So I'm wondering whether many of you are also have had that sort of thought cross your mind. So if you are and you're finding it hard to get that balance between, I really don't want to look like I'm trying too hard and I kind of want it to look natural, what I sometimes find is one of the following things starts to happen. So your style might have evolved over a period of time. And the thing that's happening is you've started to notice, because you're shopping in the same stores that you were maybe 5-10 years ago. And that's okay if they're catering to your style needs. But if they aren't any longer, because they're no longer keeping up with our changing tastes, sort of needs, it seems like the default, and it's much easier to stick with what we know, and hence why you keep going back there. But that can really leave us feeling completely uninspired and out of sync with who we are now. Another thing that might be happening is you might be swinging between sort of these conservative looks and brands that you know are more conservative, just to try to find this balance of trying to be appropriately dressed but still not looking like you're trying too hard. And then really hoping to strike the right note. But again, that can often lead to a wardrobe that might feel a little bit disjointed and maybe doesn't quite represent who you are anymore. So the other thing that might be happening is you might be avoiding experimenting with new styles because you're starting to feel like, oh, if I go down that path, I'm going to look a little bit out of place. And so maybe it's best if I don't even try. And so this one's quite big. That fear of stepping out of our comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is you being stuck in a rut, a style rut, and wearing those same outfits over and over again that really don't excite us anymore, then that can really cause some issues down the track. Does that sound familiar perhaps to some of the things that are popping up for you? Because if you are doing one of these things, then I bet it's really starting to contribute to some of the style challenges that you might be having. And if I'm right, don't worry, I've got some tips for you now in this episode to help you really crush through that and challenge those patterns and really dress in a way that allows you to feel, yeah, I'm appropriate and I'm comfortable and I'm still feel put together without looking overdone. So, who's up for hearing some of those tips? Okay, so tip one is thinking about how you actually go about diversifying your shopping habits. So, really starting to open your mind to explore new stores that might cater for your different style and your different changing needs. So, if you start to look for different brands that might offer similar pieces that resonate with you, but feel a little bit more fresh, there's an injection of freshness to them. So they feel a bit more timeless. And don't be afraid to venture into those boutiques or online stores you've never tried before, because you might actually be surprised what you might find. And I know it sounds a little bit nerve wracking to think about, oh, to go and find new stores and really try to experiment. It does take a little bit of time, but trust me, in the long run, you will be grateful for it, because even though you might have to try a few different things on, or maybe, try and return a few things just to get into a bit of a rhythm around understanding how that brand really fits you, then you might be surprised that you might find something that is just amazing and more different from what you've had potentially before. The second tip I've got is I want you to start to see if we can find your sweet spot between conservative and stylish. So, conservative, stylish, elevated, those kind of three might go hand in hand. It really depends on what your style is. It's not really about swinging to either extremes, but it's about really trying to integrate those elements into a much more cohesive look for you. An example of this might be, many of you I know might have a really nice classic pair of pants, like suit pants, that type of thing. So thinking about how can you mix those up with something other than what you've been traditionally wearing it with. So you may have been wearing it with, let's say, a button-down shirt traditionally. So, or maybe a blouse. So maybe swapping those out and going, how can I now find something that maybe is dulled down a little bit, maybe a casual tee or along those lines. Because by mixing that up, what we want to try to do is create a bit of newer harmony and freshness to your outfit. So, and my third element here for you to really think about is embracing experimentation, right? Don't be afraid to experiment with your outfit as you move down this path. So, what does that actually mean? Look, it can be really scary to try something new, but fashion and your style is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be reflective of your evolving self. So if you start really small by incorporating maybe something that's a little bit different in your wardrobe and start to see how you feel when you go to wear it. Is it something that in a bold print, maybe it's a leopard or something a little bit different from what you would have traditionally worn? So looking at maybe getting a print that's quite bold, but in a conservative style might help to bridge that gap for you. And again, this is just an example for you to consider. But you need to find that little bit of fun back into your wardrobe as you evolve through that next stage. You need to trust your gut is my number 4 around this. So why do I say that? Because time and time again, I've heard clients pick something that they absolutely love, but then when they put it on, they're just not sure. And they need that second opinion. And I love being able to provide that to many of my clients. When you need that, I want you to think about, do I feel like mutton dressed up as lamb? Do I feel out of sorts and really uncomfortable? Or is it that I'm not sure if I can get away with this because I'm worried how people might perceive me, because that's a little bit different. Because if you feel incredible in it and it fits really well and it's hugging in the right places, and it's working for you from a color perspective and a style, then it's not necessarily about everybody else's perception along that journey. So one of my listeners actually sent in a bit of a question for me, really in relation to this particular topic. And her specific question was, "Hi, Sonia, I'm in my late 40s and I feel stuck in a rut. So how can I start to introduce more appropriate yet stylish pieces into my wardrobe?" So this is a fantastic question. So my advice here is to really start by identifying the key pieces you already love, and then you start to build from there, because that'll start to be your foundation. So you want to try to inject a little bit more modern or fresh updates to those favorites. So let's take the blazer as an example, because many of you already own a blazer that you probably love. So if you find one and you want to update it a bit, you might be looking for one in maybe a different fabric. So something with an interesting fabric, similar to the leopard print example I talked about before. Or perhaps it's a refresh on the cut. So maybe it's a different cut to how you would normally or traditionally wear it. Maybe it's a collarless blazer, collarless long line blazer, or maybe it's a crop style blazer. Maybe it's a blazer in a bit more of a knit fabric. That could be a really interesting way of trying to shift that slightly. Now, if you want to get more out of that existing wardrobe, then it might be more about injecting some accessories to really refresh the look completely. I cannot impress on my clients enough the power of the accessory. The ability for a piece of jewelry to completely change the look of an existing knit and blazer top, anything like that, is magic, really. And if you can find the right piece, it will refresh your look without necessarily having to overhaul your entire wardrobe. So that's all I've got time for today. But remember that looking for that appropriate outfit without looking like you're trying too hard doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your style at all. It's about finding balance where you feel confident and authentic, and most importantly, like you and your personal brand. If you've really enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review or drop me a DM. I'd love to hear from you, or share it with a friend who might need that little bit of style inspiration. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this inspiring episode. If you found value in today's discussion, please don't keep it a secret. Share it with a friend on social media, tag me at Your Style Collective, and leave a review. Your support means the world. Join me again next week for another empowering episode of Style and Strategy, the Leadership Series. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, you're already taking that first step towards your transformation journey. See you next time.